My name is Nimi Adeyemi, an assistant consultant at PCL.
My name is Richard Edet, a senior analyst in PCL, and you're welcome to
Insights by PCL. Today we're going to be talking about how learning is changing in the digital age.
That's an interesting topic, Nimi. Okay, so Nimi, I just wanted to find out, so what are three learning changes that happen over time?
Okay, the first one for me, which is the most apparent, is the change from classroom learning to virtual and e-learning. Of course, with technology and how fast-paced it is, it's no longer efficient, to take out a whole day, 7 hours, to take a classroom training with something that you can do in 2 hours or less, via e-learning or virtual learning. Let's say, for example, you have a client meeting and you want to brush up on your customer relationship management skills. Would you go and take a whole day to learn that?
Not at all.
When you can take a 2-hour e-learning course on customer relationship management, and you would automatically feel more comfortable, going into that engagement. So yeah, just the disruption with classroom learning to virtual and e-learning. The second one for me would be how people like to learn via multiple devices. So for example, I could be watching a training on my laptop and then going through the course notes on my phone. And I think what is important is that learning design professionals need to take that into consideration, that people want to learn at the same time with multiple devices. So you need to make sure that your content fits into, let's say, a desktop mode, mobile mode, a tab mode, so that it's easily switchable. And then the last one, and the one that I find the most interesting, is that a lot of people are now prioritizing their own learning and even willing to pay for it. So, back in the day, people would wait for, their offices to take them on courses and all of that.
Yeah.
But now, we find that a lot of people are conscious of the fact that times are changing very quickly. We have all of this digital marketing and coding, cybersecurity, and people want to remain relevant. So they're going ahead and actually paying for courses to upskill in these areas. I'm sure that everyone knows one or two people, during the pandemic that took a learning course. I myself, I took the Harvard Business School.
Really?
Yeah, the Harvard Business School course on entrepreneurship. Did you, take a course?
For me, I did. I took a course from the PCB website on cybersecurity because I think I was really hoping for at least bolstering my IT skills also. I never had the chance to do that when there was no COVID because I was so busy. So during this period, I was like, okay, funny enough, you know what? The price was crashed. So some courses that were about $500, you could be paying for it at the rate of $150 and still get the same value. So there was a serious price crashing on every courses on all those international bodies today. So it was very interesting.
It was a good time. Yeah. Just riding on the pandemic as well. I think, if we can just highlight 3 interesting things, that happened, especially as regards to learning during the pandemic.
3 interesting things. I think one of them should be with regards to upskilling and reskilling. So what happened is that employees had some set of skills that they were using, right? These were the set of skills they were using. So during the COVID era where everybody was on a serious lockdown, what skills can I now have? And now that requires that they need to learn new skills. Now, sometimes it could be virtual skills, virtual communication skills, and how to facilitate sessions virtually, how to communicate, virtual interactions. So all these skills were not there before because we all used to meet physically in one-on-one in a classroom like this. But now a lot of organizations had to reskill their employees again. So it was a really tough time where everyone had to be sent on a particular training virtually for them to learn these new skills as the session was going on. Then
okay, so I'll just give one as well that I noticed, especially just coming from the HR professional angle. What we discovered, is that a lot of organizations suddenly, realize that, oh my God, my people don't have the virtual skills, the digital skills to survive,
that is true.
With remote working. So employee development became top of agenda for many management professionals.
We got a lot of attractions in terms
especially
of learning.
Digital marketing, we had cybersecurity, virtual collaboration skills as well, and of course mental and health and well-being, so it became very important. So I just thought that was important to note, that a lot of organizations are now prioritizing learning because they see just how things are changing so quickly, and the importance of always being on top of the trends. Just talking about digital transformation, I feel like that's a buzzword that is everywhere, So just looking at it from the learning and development angle, what do you think are the anticipated changes?
For me, I feel that one of them is flexibility. Flexibility in the sense that organizations need to now see that, okay, I need to be flexible with my learning models, right? I need to know how to ensure that I help my employees learn without not forcing it on them. Because what people had in mind was that, okay, learning, I have to be moved to learn, I have to be persuaded. So there's a lot of flexibility that has to come in place now this time around because, okay, how is this person's learning style? Because that is the one key thing. You have to understand your learner's style. Once you don't understand their style, it will be difficult for you to actually tie in particular learning interventions to them. So you have to understand what is their learning style, and that's one thing. Then they have to now rethink how failure is perceived because, trust me, people fear learning because they say, they're going to assess me, they're going to judge me. If I fail this is it, and I'm done with it now.
I have a big fear of rejection as well, so I absolutely get that.
Interesting. So I think for organizations, they need to now see and say, you know what, guys, we're not making you saying that we're going to judge you on this. We're just trying to see how you can assess those skills that you don't have and see how we can improve them. So they need to perceive learning in a different way entirely also. For me, I will ask, so what now do you now think if this requires that the business bring in learning into the culture? So what is the value of this learning to the business at whole?
That's a very good question. And I think I would just try to look at it from a strategic point of view. Okay. Every organization has a strategy. They have goals that they're trying to achieve, of course, with the ultimate aim of making profit and providing value.
Exactly.
Now, just from working with various clients, what we've seen is a critical element to achieving goals is getting the people element right. So you want to make sure that you're always thinking, okay, who are the kind of people that I want to achieve my goals? Do I have the right set of people? Do they have the right skills? Do they have the right competencies? And one way to do this is to transform the organization into a learning organization. You want to make sure that the organization is conscious about continuous learning. What is a way of doing this? Is to develop a learning and development policy that very clearly outlines how people will grow their competencies, grow their skills, and of course impact, the organization. And then from there, what we always recommend to people is to also have a competency dictionary.
Really?
Yeah, and what a competency.
So what's a competency dictionary? I heard the word competency dictionary. I'm like, okay, so you go there to look for things, information. All right.
Yeah, so it's a guide that just outlines all the skills that are required for the organization to succeed, and you make sure that you break it down per function and per grade level as well. And what it does is it serves as a guide for employees, so if I'm trying to move to another level, to another department, I can go into that dictionary and say, this is the exact skills and this is the level that I need to be, and this also feeds into other talent management initiatives. For example, succession planning. True. Let's say, for example, a critical role is, let's say, a project manager role. So how can you make sure that your organization always has a steady pipeline of project managers? You go into the competency dictionary, you outline all the skills and the different levels. You look within your organization, you do an assessment, who has skills that are kind of near that level. And then you create a plan, a training plan, of course, to upskill people at various levels so that you always have a steady pipeline, So just answering the question, what is the value of learning? A learning organization is one that is constantly reinventing themselves. They're constantly being innovative. And of course, it is skills and competencies that allow organizations to not just thrive, but to survive. Just look at the pandemic, for example. A lot of learning organizations had already started to look at digital transformation and looking at digital culture, looking at, virtual collaboration skills.
I think we were selling those solutions before, but a lot of organizations were not accepting that. But so COVID now made it kind of the acceptance rate was now like a 99.9. So it was from like 30%, boom, 99.9. Everybody just started, okay, virtual collaboration. How can
Especially when they saw the organizations that had planned ahead
Exactly.
thriving,
Yeah,
you know, so
exactly.
it just ticks a bell in your head and you're like, oh my goodness, I need to do this, you know, and of course we're always ready. We're always ready to provide that service.
Interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So I would just like to, you know, I'm always hearing, you know, types of learning approaches. I hear blended learning, I hear flipped learning. You know, what does that mean and what is the difference between the two?
So I'll just take with the blended learning approach. The blended learning approach is pretty much like the conventional classroom training where you come in as a facilitator or as a faculty member and you have kind of exercises and case studies that you want them to work with. Then also you also need to note that the blended learning has to do with ensuring that you infuse some element of e-learning into it also. You have to ensure that that is also part of the learning circle in that particular intervention. So you're like facilitating a session, but you also need to ensure that you check for the learning styles. Now, if the learning styles are not in collaboration with what you have, you need to change your approach to that particular learning intervention. So blended learning just involves you ensuring that you blend how you take the session. So either you make it a video-based session or you make it like a manning class and not just facilitating a session or so like that. But for the flipped learning approach, it's more like the you're doing a master's program. I know you say you did a master's program some years ago. So pretty much it's like they send you all the materials and everything that you need before the class and everything. You have that materials and you go through them, the case studies, the exercises, you go through them, trying to solve everything there in the class. And once you do that, you now come into class to debrief. So what they're doing with the flip learning is they're debriefing what was sent to them. So if probably a delegate have issues that where they're not clear up or anything, the flip learning while in class, they have that opportunity to solve that particular problem. So you don't spend much time in that learning intervention. But with the blended learning approach, it's like the formal setting of running a training where you spend like 6-7 hours. But with the flip learning approach, we could just spend 3 hours and we're done because you've already found solutions to these things already and you've already engaged the learner right from home before they come for the session. For me, I feel the blended learning and the flip learning, I would rather stick with the flip learning approach because it saves you time. It helps you to kind of not waste so much time deliberating on problems. You have solved all these problems, so you have found the solution. So it requires commitment also from the learners because the learners need to be disciplined because you're not seeing the faculty there, you're not seeing them there. You need to discipline yourself now to find solutions to this particular problem. So it's a whole element and so, but I think organizations now have to approach learning from the flipped learning approach point of view because that's where you now test the level of intelligence, the level of...
especially because you want people to understand on their own.
Exactly. So you now know, okay, this person is not really fitting for this particular thing. Okay, right. But so, like I said, it's just a learner style. Once you understand the learner style, it'll be easy for you to match up which kind of learning approach you want to kind of put it for them also.
So what would be your tip for our viewers?
For me, I would say just keep learning. Keep learning because learning is a journey. It never ends. So you need to ensure that you keep reinventing yourself from time to time. Don't give up on learning. Learning is here to stay.
Okay, thank you, Richard.
All right.
That brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for your time. Do follow us on all our social media platforms. We would also love to hear your feedback. Thank you again. Once again, my name is Mimi and this is Richard.
Richard.
All right, have a good day.
Thank you.